is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. I am your lore master, of course, James. Always a pleasure to see you guys. Always a pleasure to be here, and welcome everybody. Hey, if you're watching this video on demand, you know exactly how it's about to go. I'm about to tell you about a couple of things, including twitter.com/lore reloaded. Why aren't you on twitter.com/lore reloaded right now? For today and today only, you can follow me on Twitter. Double points if your name's Logan. Also, you can catch me at twitch.tv/lore reloaded, which I intend to be on tonight. Hopefully, I guess we're going to see. With all those things out of the way, let's say hi to a couple of people that's going on here. Of course, Voltage483, always a pleasure. Admiral Bellfire, the Iron Wolverine, Johnny Dew, Luke Favrouk, Parik Maxwell, David Ross. We got Ty Coles, Cryptic Streams. Always a party when Old Firemaster's here. Hardly ever get to see you anytime, buddy. What's going on with that? Of course, we got Aetheran. Hope you're doing well. And what's my favorite Gundam? The first Gundam. 01 is the first Gundam. Hello, up in the house saying I like Discovery. I think it has far better writing than TNG or DS9 Seasons 1, and it is far better than TOS. Fight me. Hello, it would be, I get what you're saying, but unfortunately you have already proven to have an IQ that isn't on par with most people given that last sentence, or that entire paragraph. So that way it would just be wrong. I can't attack people of your caliber. Good sir. Admiral Murphy, what is going on? Hope you doing well. Random Crusader, Tim Ash. All right, so regardless of what this likes to say, we're going to be talking about Star Trek Discovery. Don't know how long I'm going to be on today, but ultimately, I just wanted to talk about what's coming on and what's going on, and generally that will lead to me getting upset because that's how it always works when it comes to Discovery. I'm just admitting who I am. I've also had a lot of requests to do a response to a Wired.com article, and it's Wired, so you know it's top-notch. So, I mean, obviously I don't think I'm going to have any issues with it. Whisper Darkling, always good to see you. Kodo Nomero, good to see you as well. It only works when you imagine it to be a standalone series. Of that I can agree. Or a non-Star Trek series. But, alright. So, there are a couple of things coming up. Honestly, a lot of people are getting all in arms about this new Season 2 stuff that's supposed to be coming. I don't really see a lot that's coming out about it, so I'm not all that excited because there's not enough to really go on. But we'll be taking a look at digital trends. This was posted recently, so we'll take a look at what they got to say. And of course, if you guys got anything you want to say about it or we want to go with it, we can still go from there. Let's see. I will be looking at this article right here for the beginning. Again, with the Gundam Wing as the original instead of the actual original. The first is the RX-782, not the Wing, and 01 wasn't even the original in its own series. I randomly picked a number, but that's cool that you went out of your way to break that down. All right, here we go. Star Trek Discovery. More turnover for Star Trek Discovery Season 2. Nope, this might not be the one I'm looking for. Actually, I don't think it is. Alright, the official Twitter feed for Star Trek Discovery posted behind the scenes from the second season that not only offered a glimpse of some of the new aliens and ship sets appearing on Season 2, but also a brief peek at what looks to be some new Starfleet uniforms. The uniforms are going to be looking more like the original, it's my understanding. Hopefully. I don't mind differing uniforms, but if they're trying to stay true, they need to ultimately move towards what was in the original series. Honest to God, it's frustrating for you to say that it's new, for it's going to be something, well, it's frustrating to say it's going to be in continuity, and then it's just be all new stuff, So, I don't know. Laura, the reason you're not seeing anything is because the producers and writers are changing up so much. The reason I'm not seeing anything is because they don't have anything to show. Oh, Lord. Okay. A character familiar to longtime fans but new to Discovery will make his debut in the second season of this series. Hell on Wheels. Is this an older one? By the way, I think I've picked an older This doesn't look like it's the newest one. If this is old news, let me know. Hell on Wheels and Inhumans actor Anson Mount will portray Captain Christopher Pike in Season 2. Franchise fans know that Pike was the captain of the USS Enterprise prior to James T. Kirk, and given the events of Discovery's first season finale, it seems as if the timeline of that series and that of the original Star Trek would overlap in the near future. In the very near future. Well, of course, because we all remember how Captain Pike and James T. Kirk after him all specifically talked about the war that they lost, where they got devastated. I mean, just ultimately destroyed. So it's definitely, we're seeing the overlap already, because the original series was all about this epic war they lost. Johnny Doe, now do you mind if they tweak and update the uniform and ship designs like they did with the new Enterprise, or do you want it to be strictly the same as the original series? I don't mind visual updates generally. Overall, visual updates don't bother me. It's just when it so drastically changes, and it changes the way the technology works. As an example, the windows you see in Enterprise. I don't know that I hate the way the new Enterprise looked, except for they changed overall concepts of the entire ship. That was very frustrating to me when it comes to that. If they change the uniforms are tweaked to make them look more modern or more interesting. I don't care that much, honestly. If they're drastically different, then why are you saying it's in continuity? It feels like you're a liar when you do things like that, and that's what bothers me, right? I understand you don't like Star Trek Discovery, but did you find the Mirror Unit episodes were decent? It's an interesting part. Maxwell, I gotta head out. The reason why I don't like the Star Trek Discovery is not necessarily because of what is put into Star Trek Discovery, but what is... I don't know how to explain this well. One of the main reasons I don't like Star Trek Discovery is because I feel like the writers, the executives, all of them are liars. They say that's going to be continuity. They say they care about the fans. They do everything they can to divide the fans, and it looks nothing like what they say it's going to. When I first started watching Discovery, I was indifferent when I first watched the first couple episodes. I didn't hate it. I was just indifferent to it. Ultimately, it started picking up. I started liking it. If you watch the breakdowns, because I would do breakdowns after every episode went live, I would come on and do a breakdown of it. If you watched mid-season Star Trek Discovery, I was starting to say that it was getting good, that you need to watch it so that it, and continue to watch it because it's getting better every time. When we first went into the Mirror Universe, I think that was the strongest part. I think the strongest parts was right, the mid-season finale, and then into the Mirror Universe. And I do think those were very strong episodes. However, it just destroyed everything when it decided to get way too... It's not that it was political. It was that it was preaching and that it was trying to attack a subset, if not half, of the fan base. And then after that, it just all went downhill to me. They obviously didn't care. They only cared about getting points with the left. With not just the left, but the toxic left. That's all they cared about, was getting all of these different points and making themselves feel better so that when they go to their award shows, they could talk about how progressive they are. And, you know, a lot of people get upset at that. A lot of people assume that I'm some kind of Trumper or that I'm heavy conservative or anything. It's not about that. Regardless of what I believe, I may even agree with some of the things they're saying. They're using Star Trek to divide people when it's supposed to bring people together. And that's just an overall when it comes to it. Now, the question was, did I like the Mirror Universe? I felt those were some of the strongest episodes up until the betrayal, which was done epically badly. Just so it doesn't even make sense. Jay Wiggs in the house. Come on, everyone hates on Star Trek Discovery. It's a good show, and Klingons look awesome, and the ships are just excellent. Well, then there you go. There you go. All right, so Mount will be the fourth actor to portray Pike in the various live-action series and films, with actor Jeffrey Hunter's first playing him in the abandoned pilot for Star Trek, and Hunter and Sean Kinney both playing him in the episodes titled The Menagerie, which recycled footage from the pilot. Most recently, Bruce Greenwood played Pike in the 2009 reboot. I liked Pike from the 2009 reboot. According to Discovery executives, producer Alex Kurtzman and Christopher Pike will play an important role in the show's second season, but won't be the focus of the story arc. Yeah, this is an older one. Let me get the new update one. Star Trek Discovery Season 2. Here we go. Yeah, this is the updated one.
Donkey
That was an older one.
balls. Did you just say donkey balls?
Your stream title made me think your water is poisoned. I thought you lost your mind. Hope you are having a good day, says Thomas Potts, who's helping out the channel by doing super chats. One of the great reasons to assist. But no, I mean, basically, I want to talk about Discovery. I want to go over the Discovery news, but I always end up getting pissed off. So that's why I do it. Star Trek Discovery's timeline is starting to feel like the timeline that TNG movies from First Contact onward. Star Trek Online and kickstarted the Kelvin timeline. I mean, maybe. All right, so let's read the actual updated one. Get ready to see some familiar haunts and maybe even some familiar faces in Star Trek Discovery Season 2. And this is from slashfilm.com. I will share it right here for all of you lovely people. Lord, does Star Trek Discovery, in your opinion, have any substance? It does. I do. I do believe that it... So here's an interesting thing, and I'll start breaking this down, but here's an interesting thing. Star Trek Discovery has some good ideas and things in it. They have some concepts that I think are very interesting. I love the idea of a captain from the... Okay, so spoilers, obviously. I've already given them a little bit, but spoilers, 3, 2, 1. I love the idea of a captain from the Mirror Universe trying to make it in Prime Timeline. And I also like the thoughts that the only way that he would survive is during a war. And I didn't hate everything that they did. I didn't hate the idea when they were in the Mirror Universe. I didn't hate even though it's not consistent, the adding with the light and the way they played with the how Terrans are more sensitive to light, and they played with that as a story element where even the light looks different. How they were making the Mirror Universe look different. I like the idea of the Klingon Empire, this one ship that is like a cult-based ship, a generation ship. And so the Klingons are acting different. They look different on that ship. And a divided Klingon Empire brought together to fight Starfleet and the Federation is kind of an interesting concept as well. Additionally, when they did the Mirror Universe and they put Michael into the Mirror Universe, I like the idea of a Starfleet person having to survive in the Terran Empire. These are just some things... So I don't hate concepts, and sometimes they did them really well. I think that anytime it was an ensemble, it was much, much stronger. Now, there are lots of pieces that I didn't feel like were classic Star Trek, like classic being DS9 or TNG. But I think it's interesting. The Spore Drive would work, in my opinion, if Discovery were set after Voyager. Well, yeah, I mean, that didn't make a lot of sense. All right. Let's continue. That's right. Wow, I got something in my throat, guys. I apologize. That's right. That's Michael Burnham on board the USS Enterprise, the ship that every Trekkie fondly remembers as the prime ship of Captain Kirk, Spock, and the crew that led the original Star Trek series and the recent reboot films. Wow. I think I was poisoned. Debuted by Entertainment Weekly ahead of this week's San Diego Comic-Con, the first Star Trek Discovery Season 2 image shows The first Star Trek Discovery Season 2 image shows the science specialist of the USS Discovery walking onto the bridge of the USS Enterprise. That does not look like, and I'm going to see if I can share it with you guys. But let me ask you this. Let me try to share this. I don't think it's going to let me. Give me a second. Is there any way to share this? I'm sure there is. See, that's why you guys come here, right? If you want professionalism, if you want this already prepared, you can go to you can take that attitude to Trek Yards and Space Dock. We do it live. We're real here. Oh, sorry, I know I'm being a little cute coughing, just like Logan is cute. All right, look at that picture. Does that look like the Enterprise at all to you guys? Does that at any point, anything about that remind you of the Enterprise? My God. Okay. Sorry. Oh, that's why you guys come here. See, yeah, that doesn't look like the Enterprise to me at all. I haven't seen the opening of it at all. But that doesn't at any point look like the Enterprise to me. Even a visual reboot. What on the Enterprise is red? The Enterprise is all about whites and grays and things like that. Oh, wow. What about that screams Enterprise? I might have to stop this stream, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, I think I'm better. All right. Woo! And, of course, it's messed up. All right. What on that at all screams Enterprise itself? And again, if I'm wrong, and this reminds you of Enterprise, or it's supposed to be like Enterprise, then please, let me know. Let's have that conversation, because I'm not against being wrong or even being turned around when it comes to Discovery. I'm really not. I honestly want to like and enjoy the show. I can't, just based on who they are and what they've just based on everything they've done, both within the series and outside of the series. You know? It's all a matter of trust and everything like that. I don't trust them. Man, I love that I deleted the wrong thing there. So watch this. We're going to do this live. Let's see. There we go. For now, that's going to do. Actually, no, it's not. Give me a second, guys. I apologize. I am for real. Let's see. 1280 by... There we go. There we go. That'll do for the moment. It's a little off. I'll correct it later. Okay. I think everything is fixed. Apologize about that. I believe that Star Trek Enterprise, the Romulan War, lasted longer than in Prime, causing bigger ships to be created in Discovery timeline. Okay. The only thing red on the original series, Enterprise, was the doors. I don't even remember the Enterprise series being, the doors being red, but maybe. But again, that does not, to me, look like the Enterprise. So, again, that's right, Michael Burnham will be entering on the Enterprise. However, the expert Trekkies at Trek Movie speculate that Burnham might actually be walking into Spock's quarters based on a production video from earlier this spring. This could be the highly anticipated debut of a young Spock that was recently teased as well. I don't necessarily mind a young Spock. It depends on how they do it. My problem, or my concern, is that if they're going to do a younger Spock, that it's going to be as disrespectful as they've done before. They're going to sit there and have a Spock that only fawns over Michael. That is to be this negative... it's to make Michael look better. And I would have an extreme issue if they disrespected Spock in that way. But that said, this could be interesting if done right. I think that if they showed a different aspect of Spock. So, if we got to see it from a third person's point of view, how Spock interacts and what Spock is doing on the Enterprise, I would be intrigued by that. I would be very... I think that'd be cool. I really would. I would be interested to see how the Enterprise crew looks like from a third-party perspective. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to make Spock like fawn over his sister and just be... I think they're going to make Michael look better at the expense of Spock, and that's unfortunate to me because I think there's a lot you could do from a third-party perspective. But anyway, moving on. A lot of questions are going to be raised. Some are going to be answered, Martin Green, who plays Michael, says in the print issue of EW. Beyond that, we're really going to be digging into family, Martin Green says, possibly referring to the familial connections between Michael Burnham and Spock. That worries me again. Especially, you know, one of the things is... So, and again, spoilers for anyone who's watching. Of course, if you've seen the first 3 episodes, this isn't going to be much spoilers for you. Michael commits mutiny. She commits treason. She does mutiny aboard the Shinzu. And a lot of people have said, well, Spock never brings up that his sister commits mutiny. Because he's the one that says, he's the one that brings up there hasn't been a mutiny on a ship in how many ever years. He doesn't bring it up because he's embarrassed of his sister. That was what a lot of people were saying. That's what a lot of the apologists for Discovery were saying. Well, he simply is embarrassed by his human sister, so he's just not going to bring her up. He's going to deny that. And yet now he's meeting her, and they're having conversations, but he's embarrassed of her. I don't... It's funny how the creators go out of their way to contradict the apologists for this show. Now, someone asked, what are my true thoughts on Klingons? I've had this conversation before. Usually, people who watch the show love the fact that I rail and I go and I just want to attack Discovery. And they get upset when I'm really lukewarm when it comes to the Klingons. A lot of people get upset about that. Or Klingorks, as people like to call them. The Klingons go through so many different changes from the original series to the motion picture, to, not the motion picture, but the original series movies, to TNG, to DS9, to Voyager, back to Enterprise. They change so much that I don't care how it goes on, honestly. And so the Klingons, they don't bother me all that much, if I'm being completely honest. A lot of people get upset about that, but I don't care about the visual change. What I do care about is how they act. They act completely inconsistent. Completely inconsistent with the way we see the Klingons act in any other series, honestly. They talk about honor, but they act like the original series television. They will act like the original series television series Klingons, right? they act like they pretend to have honor and then go out of their way to be about as honorless as you can be, maybe even worse than what we see in the original series. They need to commit to one way or the other. In the original series, the Klingons did not have this sense of honor that we saw in the original series movies. They were simply mustache-twirling villains. And so they were also a lot more hygienic, a lot more clean than what we see in Discovery. I just don't like how the culture is so drastically different. It's not good storytelling. It simply isn't. There's not an explanation for the change yet. Maybe Season 2 will help us out, but I don't know. Thomas Potts, Trek Today, has a pic of a motion picture alien in Star Trek Discovery. I looked at it. I mean, it looks fine. I wasn't impressed one way or the other. I don't know. Johnny Doe, hey, I get why you were so hard on them for continuity, but at some point, don't you think you should cut them a little bit of grace because they are trying to create something new? No. No, I don't. Nope. No, just because you do something new and exciting doesn't make it good. If you're married and you decide to go and have an affair with a neighbor, that's new and exciting. It's not good. It's trying something new. It's going out there. Not good. So just because you do something new and exciting doesn't make it a good thing. What I can say is they tried something out. That's fine. That's Trek. Trek does try to push the limits, but they failed. So just because they're trying something new doesn't mean anything, if I'm being honest. And just because it's exciting doesn't really mean anything either. I'm not cutting people slack for doing something new and exciting if what the new and exciting thing isn't worth much. All right, so that's really that. There's not a lot new that's going into Season 2 yet. We haven't really gotten a lot. And the trailer relies on nostalgia. Fez4277 got to cut out. Well, thanks for coming, buddy. I appreciate it. Sorry that I had a coughing fit. I'm getting teased by a text message because of that, so I apologize for that. Now, there was this one that I continued to get asked to do a rebuttal to. It's by Wired.com. It's called What's With All the Hate for Star Trek Discovery? And so we can go through that one by one and see where we want with it, right? Darth Revan, would it be okay with you if the bridge looked the same but the consoles are touchscreen? Visual updates, if done appropriately, I don't have a huge issue with. If the tech worked the same but it was different, it was modernized, it was what they'd want to do, I don't know that I'd have an issue with it. I'd have to see it, to be honest. I don't want it to look like the original series when they made the original series. I like updated visuals. I actually don't get too upset about the visuals when it comes to the holographic, not holographic, the communicator technology. I think that's cool. I think it's something they would have done. And if that was their only sin, I really wouldn't have had a huge issue. Or sins that were similar to that. They just didn't stick with the writing, and that's frustrating to me. Just don't lie to me. I'm big on that. I don't like being lied to. And I feel like they lied to me. Do you think that Discovery aesthetics and Phil will be the new norm for Star Trek? Yes. As long as CBS and Paramount are in charge, I think they're going to go with that. I really do. Troy Skeet, when you're talking about the original series, but does it make sense? Did they go through a dark age? And so, let me know if this is not where you're going with it. Are you saying that maybe the reason why we see the original series the way it is because of the mass devastation in Discovery, that there was a renaissance, if you will, for Starfleet in Discovery, and then into the original series, because of how much devastation occurred, they regressed, and that the technology went back because they were trying to rebuild. I don't hate that idea. They'd have to really build into it in Discovery. They'd have to sit back and explain that, and maybe have dialogue talking about how technology isn't what it was because of this. Honestly, without hitting the reset button, that's their best shot. I don't hate that. All right, everybody, Warrior 126 is here. Everybody can relax. Thank God. I was really worried about that. I don't hate Federation Dark Ages. I don't. Again, they'd have to build it into it. I don't think the writers are that clever, but I could get down with that. That could turn it around for me. So, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I have these conversations. A lot of people say, well, why the haterade? Why are you sitting here watching? It's so that we can have these conversations. If we don't like it, what would make it better? And I think that would make it better. By the way, people, 104 people watching, only 24 thumbs up, 3 thumbs down. I mean, why y'all slacking? Why y'all slacking? Johnny Doe, so just to clarify, saying that the reason you haven't liked the show partially is due to the fact that you feel that they've lied to you about things such as it being in the Prime universe. I don't like... Well, so let's talk about this. David Catrone, thank you so much. Again, Super Chats are how this entire thing continues going. That and Patreon, as well as viewers like you. So thank you so much for supporting it.
Donkey balls. Did you just say donkey balls?
There's a lot of reasons why I don't like it. Let's break it down. Yeah, the fact that they lied and said that it's going to be in universe, it's going to be canon, it's going to be continuity, and it is further from the truth. The fact that they break entire species that don't make any sense. The Vulcan hello is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard about when it comes to the Vulcans on planet Earth. The aesthetics don't bother me as much, I'll be honest with you. I don't get too upset about that. The Federation not acting like the Federation in multiple instances, doing all kinds of things that they wouldn't have to do. The writing making no sense. The politics, the fact that they want to try to piss off every conservative that ever... Not just piss off, I stand corrected. Let me take that back. They want to shame anyone who doesn't believe their left-leaning, toxic... ideology. They want to shame them. They want to make them feel bad. They want to divide what is supposed to bring people together to enjoy. They want to divide that. They don't know anything when it comes to the history or the continuity. I make mistakes all the time in my videos. I try not to. I try very, very hard not to. And I go back and I try to fix them in other episodes and things like that. They just don't care. It is quite obviously they don't care. You know, and... I keep saying this, but I think that this show, Star Trek specifically, Discovery specifically, divides people in ways that it just doesn't have to. Honestly, Star Trek has always been left-leaning and has always tried to push a left agenda. I don't mind that. What I do mind is that it doesn't... It does it in a way that makes someone feel bad instead of trying to... push or show its point of view. Leon Bloodshield. Dude, what are you talking about? What anti-conservative notion do you see in Discovery? Well, let's see. Probably the biggest one, there are multiple, but probably the biggest one is where you take a guy who thinks that an emperor who eats aliens is not bigoted enough and wants to overthrow them and says, make the, what was it? Make the empire great again? Or something stupid like that. That would be the biggest one. But there's multiple if you walk through it. If you don't see how they're not trying to put down a specific segment of the population, I would challenge you to look at your politics and your biases and see if you're not one of the reasons that Trump got in. And I mean that in the nicest way. And if that pisses you off, I'm sorry. It's not. I'm not trying to. I'm not even pro-Trump. But if everything out of there, you're like, yes, yes, all of this, none of this is a message, none of this is attacking people, I would challenge you to look at your own biases. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Let me say that. Let me say this. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm overreacting, and maybe you're fine, and I'm the one with the problem that needs to look at my biases. That's completely possible. I do think that it is... It's... Anyway. Lauren Chat, here's something I found out. The term Mary Sue was invented to describe a bad Arthur self-insertion Star Trek fanfics, and now Discovery has one as our protagonist. You should actually see an interesting... Anti-Trekker did an interesting video on Mary Sue. But yeah. And, you know, I put it... Here's what I'll do. Here's what I'd say. If you say, you know what, I disagree with you. I think it was fine. I think that there's nothing wrong with it. Take Discovery and bump it up against Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine is left-leaning, in my opinion. They kind of go center-left. Sometimes push a little bit into the right or conservative. But see how Deep Space Nine does stuff. Deep Space Nine talks about poverty and talks about how we need social programs. They talk about transgenderism. I'm not even talking about the horrific Prophet and Lace or with Quark. I'm talking about truly addressing it. They talk about homosexuality. Look at how they portray those and how they show a left-leaning bias when it comes to that, and how that was presented to the audience. And then watch the Mirror Universe cis hetero white guy talk about how the Emperor who eats aliens and committed genocide upon Kronos is not anti-immigrant enough. Put those together and see who did it better and who had a better chance of swaying people. And here's why I have an issue. And this is real talk. When it came to wow, I've been watching too many videos that attack Wings of Redemption. That's the real talk reference. Here's the honest truth. When I was Deep Space Nine normalized homosexuality in a way that spoke to me as a teenager in a house that was very conservative Christian. Star Trek Discovery was so biased and was so propaganda-ish. It made me sympathize for those who are with Trump. That's my problem with Star Trek Discovery. And it angers me because you had the perfect opportunity to say what you wanted to say and do what you wanted to do. You had the perfect opportunity to take swipes at Trump, to take swipes at the wall. Make your point and do it in a way that people either wouldn't notice, or you might actually change minds. But you didn't. You wanted the cheap shot. If you had had a standoff, a verbal standoff between Lorca and Michael, if you had had a standoff where Michael was trying to or where Lorca was trying to convince Michael that he was right, and he was talking about in the Prime Universe, look at what diversity has done. The Federation, the Starfleet, they're almost all destroyed. Your diversity didn't do anything. It made you weaker. Look at the Terran Empire. We're only humans, and look at what we've done, what we've wrought. And then Michael could give counters to that and talk about how the diversity made them stronger, and how you can't Hey, baby, you want to come say something real quick? And then you need to go. So you want to say something?
Yeah. Go put the like down below because my channel's almost up.
Okay, go play. That's fine, take them.
Yay.
So and here's what you have Michael do. You have Michael come back and says she talks about diversity, how it's our strength, look at what we've made, look at the arts, look at all this. And then you could even do a cheesy line. You can't build a wall around the Federation. You have to accept it. And so there's just an easier way to do it. Lore Reloaded, they could have handled things with the kind of tact the whole black on the left side toss episode, at least. Yeah, I agree. David Catrone, Trek has always been fairly anti-conservative. The original series featured a black woman on the bridge during a time when that was just taboo. First interracial kiss. Yeah, but so I don't know that it's anti-conservative, but I do think that it's persuasive. I do think it's left-leaning. I do think it's liberal, progressive, whatever we want to call, but I think it's persuasive. Normalization is the best way to show people what life could be. Having an African-American woman on a bridge and it be normal in a time when that just isn't heard of is awesome. And just not saying anything about it. It's just there. It's just normal. That speaks to people a lot more than shoving it in their face, in my opinion. And then again, they were just out to get the quick win. And I don't think they care about anyone listening to their opinion. I think they care about getting brownie points with their specific tribe. I agree with you. They missed some great things by not having Burnham go point to point with Lorca. Yeah, I think so. I don't think Star Trek Discovery writers or producers were smart enough to intentionally bash Trump. It was just thrown in there like every episode. I disagree. I disagree. I think that they went out of their way to attack Trump. I think that was done on purpose. What will the other new Star Trek be like? Will they just change canon completely, or will they be more like Trek we know? I don't know. I honestly don't. And I hope that they've learned their lessons. Again, a lot of people get confused about this. I want Discovery to do well. I want Season 2 to rock it out. I want to come to you guys and say that Season 2 is great, that Discovery was just failing from the first season that we see that happened in DS9, that happened in TNG. I was completely wrong. I'm not one of those who, I know a lot of people like to think this, but I'm not one of those who stand and are just like, rawr, it has to be this way. No, please. Please give me good Star Trek. Please make me eat my words. Please. I would love that. I would love to say, CBS, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You knew what you were doing. It all ties in. Hey, guys, you need to go buy CBS All Access, and you need to get through the first season because it's so worth it when the second season ties it all in. I would love that. Nothing would make my day more, guys. Nothing at all. Can we just agree that Disco Plain Out sucks with where it is at now? They really need to pull their heads out of their asses next season, or we'll have another Emperor. Yeah, and that's my, what's going on, Admiral's Fall. David Ketron. I'm sorry, let me read it all the way. Can we just agree that Discovery Plain Out sucks with where it's at now? They really need to pull their heads out and for the next season, or we'll have another Enterprise. I agree. And here's my fear. I fear that it's going to go like Enterprise did. Season 1 sucked. Enterprise Season 1 was at best weak. If Season 2 sucks and they get a Season 3, if they turn it around in Season 3, it's going to be too late. They turned it around in Season 4 of Enterprise. Season 4 of Enterprise was really good was good in my opinion. And so, and even the stats were showing it. Ratings were going up for Enterprise. But it was too late. The damage had been done. And I don't know. Can I point out, why is it everyone thinks that racism is connected to conservatism? If you look back at the history of America, there's more advancements. Yeah, I'm not going to get too much into that, Eric. I'll say this. I believe that the conservatives, liberals did it too. Everybody did it. But conservatives were the ones mainly in power, and they kind of earned their stripes when it comes to being known as racist. I don't think that's how it is now. I don't think it has been that way for a while. But I would definitively say that's somewhat earned. I don't want to get into it that much, though. How would I write... someone asked how I'd write a better Discovery. I mean, we've been having these conversations. I think you could do everything they wanted to do in Discovery and do it a lot better. Now, honestly, if I was going to do it, I'd probably have it be like Prelude to Axanar. But you can still keep all of the other concepts that you had there, too. If you want to make the Klingons... Having the Klingons come together under a racist or xenophobic ruler isn't out of the norm, isn't out of the necessary, especially early era Klingons. I could see early era Klingons being blinded. And so then you have that discussion throughout the episodes of the diversity, of the racism of the Klingons. You show both sides to it. And here's what you do. The best argument, if you want to make an argument, I believe there's one of two ways to do so. The first way is, depending on what the argument is, just normalize whatever it is you think that needs to be normalized. African American on the bridge, first interracial kiss, homosexuality, whatever you want it to be, normalize it. And maybe bring it up in one episode, but it's normal beyond that. The other way is, if you want to have a good conversation, then bring both sides to the table and be honest about the positives and the negatives of both sides. And if I was going to do it, I would keep the Klingons as xenophobic. I wouldn't write it the way they did, but I would have the Klingons start a war because they don't like diversity. I think you can write that without doing it the way they did it, doing it appropriately for Trek. And then, for most of the series, I would have the Star Trek, the heroes, be the antithesis, to be the foil to the Klingons about how this is wrong, inappropriate, how they're killing people for something they don't understand. Then, midway through, I would bring in good guys who agreed with the Klingons and would explore that conversation and what positive aspects they would argue for it, and show why those aspects are either wrong or aren't as good as the benefits of what the heroes are bringing. And I think you could do that. I think you could have a very epic Trek series, and I think you could have a great conversation. And again, the best way to have an argument is to be fair to the other side and to even allow some on your side to empathize or agree, to show that we are all, for lack of a better word, human, and that mostly, generally, people want what's best for everyone else, and they simply see different ways of doing it. If I was going to do that, that's how I would do it. I think Star Trek Deep Space Nine did that. I think The Next Generation, on certain aspects, definitely not religion, but certain aspects did that. I think that Voyager even did that in some instances. And I think that's how you should write it. I don't think it should be this, we're always right, we're always preaching. I just don't. So, yeah, next is video. Here's a good one. Gay characters on Star Trek Discovery are not a big deal. Not the reason people are critical of the series. I love Stamets and Culver. I like that interaction. That was done exceptionally well, in my opinion. I think that was one of the really good parts of Discovery to me. I think that it showed a loving couple. There was playfulness with them. There was interaction. There was discussion. It wasn't any big deal to any of the other characters. But it was highlighted. But wasn't a big deal to any of the other characters. And that can be hard to do. Stamets is an excellent character, written very, very well. And I like that. That's an example of them doing good. I'd advise you to take a look at Steve Shive's video on how DS9 did religious tolerance in the right way. I haven't seen that. Steve Shives is actually a Facebook friend of mine. I've known him for 7 or 8 years. We are drastically different in our opinions. which is interesting. When people wonder why he doesn't ban me or whatever. But yeah, I've known Steve Chef. I haven't seen that video, though. We need a series that takes place during the same time as Star Trek Online, after the time of Voyager. If Discovery had taken during that time, most of my issues with it would just... Most people. So, Nexus video, xenophobia was common amongst the major races of the Alpha Quadrant. The humans were the ones to bridge this. Enterprise does a good, decent, let me rephrase. I don't think they do good. They do a decent job of talking about diversity and people being together. I especially like the, what was the name of that episode where the extremist group tried to tell all Xenos to leave? I forget. I especially liked that one, though. All right, so let's get through this and then continue on. Star Trek fans have been... This is from Wired. What's with all the hate for Star Trek Discovery? This one's a later one, so maybe we've addressed it. But let's go through it. And Philip Young becoming a lore master. What's going on, good sir? Star Trek fans have been waiting over a decade for a new Star Trek TV show, so many fans were excited when Star Trek Discovery finally aired back in September. But since its launch, the show seems to have been met with an usually high degree of hostility from viewers. Well, that's a nice little poisoning of the well. Usually they're already upset, so you know you can just discount that. All right. Sorry, I'm gonna be doing that often. With an usually high degree of hostility from viewers who have questioned everything from its uniforms to its ship's designs, writes Sarah Lynn Machiner. Writer Sarah Lynn Machiner thinks those concerns are overblown. Yeah, because I mean, when you say it's going to be in continuity and it's not, when people get upset about that, I mean, oh man, who cares about that, right? You know, I'm gonna tell you that this channel is going to be dedicated to lore. But really, it's not going to be dedicated to lore. It's going to be dedicated to ducks. And if you get upset about that, it's your fault. When a show tries too hard to adhere to canon, it doesn't have as much as flexibility for creativity, Machiner says in episode 285 of the Geek's Guide to the Galaxy podcast. I don't disagree with that. Don't do prequels. Yeah. Then you don't have to worry about canon as much.
Yeah.
All right. Now I'm reading better. Even the idea that some people are suggesting that they should build an entire ship based on outdated technology is just nuts. It's just crazy. Another way of saying what Machiner here says is, even the idea that some people want us to stay consistent and use the technology of the time, screw that. We're just going to make stuff up as we go and still try to call it Star Trek. I understand and can comprehend and can read BS, so I just read through the BS for you. So, I'm here for you guys. Another point of contention is that the show is available exclusively through CBS All Access, a new monthly streaming service. Many fans have revolted as the prospect of having to sign up for yet another service just to watch Star Trek, but Machina says she welcomes the opportunity to support the show and watch ad-free. Lie! It has ads. Has ads. Unless you want to pay a lot more money. It's not just signing up for it. Maybe you should try CBS All Access and not get it for free when you're promoting the show. But you have two tiers. The first tier has ads that you have to watch through, or you can pay significantly more money and then you won't have ads. So I'm here for you. And this was written like months ago, but hopefully she'll see this. People should be bending over backwards to pay money for good science fiction, she says, because it deserves it. I agree. I completely agree. People should be bending over backwards to pay money for good science fiction. Sojourn. If you guys haven't heard of Sojourn, go look at Space Talk's Sojourn. People should pay money for good science fiction. Agreed. Why this is in an article about Star Trek Discovery, I don't know, but I don't disagree with that on spec. I just don't know why she's talking about it and talking about Discovery. I mean, again, I'm doing lore. I don't talk about ducks when I'm doing lore. So. Discovery also features the first openly gay characters to appear on Star Trek TV show. That is not true. No? Maybe? I think that's iffy. First gay couple, and to put it out there, I'll say that. There were several characters who were bisexual or gay. On TNG, on Deep Space Nine, on Voyager. But we'll say first gay couple. I'll give you that. The ship's doctor, Hugh Culber, and his partner, science officer Paul Stamets, or boyfriend, it's okay to say boyfriend, this has proven to be yet another source of controversy, with some viewers declaring that they refuse to watch a show about gay characters. I think that's overblown. You want to talk about overblown? I think that is a small minority. A very small minority. I could be wrong about that. Faller becoming a lore master, but I think that's a small minority. And they're wrong. And they shouldn't. I don't think there's any issues. As long as it's... That couple, that dichotomy is written well, and it feels like it's a part of the story. And as long as it's a part of the story, I don't care. It's a stance that science fiction editor John Joseph Adams finds particularly bizarre coming from Star Trek fans. How do you reconcile everything else that's in Star Trek with hating someone... How do you reconcile everything else... Hey, Lori, can you pause that for a second and go downstairs? Hold on, guys. Can you go downstairs, please? Go play in your room. It'll just be a few minutes. Okay, go downstairs. Thank you. I appreciate that. One second. She's still going down. It'll be a second. Just one second. Okay. Allow me to reread that. How do you reconcile everything else that's in Star Trek with hating somebody else because they're different? Do you understand the point of Discovery? Are you so fundamentally stupid that you don't understand that everything, both outside of Star Trek, with what the actors are doing, with the bend the knee and being under Trump is like being in a torture chamber, an agony booth, and how, make the Empire glorious again. Do you not understand that Discovery is the antithesis of that statement? How do you reconcile everything that's in Star Trek with hating somebody else because they're different? Discovery is made to hate other people who are different. The difference with Discovery is they don't hate you by the color of your skin, but by your ideology. And in fact, it's not just any ideology. We're not talking about extremists. We're not talking about extremist idiot conservatives that want anyone that's not white in their country. We're talking about people who say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should make sure the people in this country aren't criminals, haven't killed people. Maybe we should ensure we know who's coming into this country and make sure that it's done legally so they aren't taken advantage of. The worst thing about... Conservatives may not have it right. They may not. But you know what? Idiot liberals who just want to let everyone in creates a subclass that hurts the people just as much. Dimes to donuts, this guy hates. I don't know who this is. Who the hell are we talking about? What's your name? Joseph John Adams. No idea who John Joseph Adams. No idea who the fuck that is. But I guarantee you he's not a Trump fan. Guarantee you he's not a Trump fan. And I'll tell you what, if he believes in the toxic, left-leaning extremist views that Discovery promotes, he hurts the people he wants to help. And that's BS. That is a BS statement talking about Discovery. Deep Space Nine, I can believe it. TNG, I can even believe it. The original series, generally, I can believe it. But Discovery hates you if you believe anything that has to do with conservatives. And this is coming from a guy who's not that conservative. Okay. And here's what's going to make me mad. Here's what's going to make me mad. People are going to see this and they're going to be like, oh, look, it's a Trumper. It's a conservative. He wants to build the wall and kill anybody that's not his skin color. Shut up. You can recognize when someone has taken an ideology you may or may not agree with and it's gone toxic. You can absolutely do that. There are conservatives, a large number of conservatives who are good people. and who care about this country and don't want to hurt anyone. They just want what's best for everyone. There are a large number of liberals and progressives who are the exact same way. Discovery is all about how... Not all about. Discovery has a tone to it that hates on conservatives. Do not pull this stupid BS with me. Do not pull this stupid BS with me that Star Trek is about loving people who are different, because you don't. It is not Discovery. There are several points on that. Science fiction author Anthony Ha agrees, noting that Star Trek has always had a political agenda. We agree with that. He says it was odd to see people complaining about Discovery's actors politicizing Star Trek by expressing solidarity with protesting NFL players. That's an easy fix, Anthony Ha. Watch the fucking series! Watch Enterprise. Watch the original series. Watch TNG. Watch Deep Space Nine. Watch Voyager. And you can see why that's different. Oh, this even gets better. Look, if you disagree with that, well, you're wrong there too, but at least that's a position you can... Fuck you, man. But if you're saying Star Trek should not be political, that is a completely invalid and dumb position. I agree. Saying Star Trek should not be political or saying Star Trek should not be left-leaning is a completely dumb position. Just utterly stupid. Listen to the complete... Thanks, Fox Nixor. Thank you for promoting. The Klingon scenes, Anthony Ha and Klingons. The Klingon scenes are definitely my least favorite part of the show. The makeup, I think, looks cool, but it's hard to get a great sense of their expression, and all the Klingons look kind of similar, so it can be hard to tell which Klingon is talking in which moment, which I think is why they had to introduce scars and makeups and things like that. So I think it's hard to tell the difference between some of the Klingons, and then when they speak in this monotone that doesn't really register as dialogue. It just feels like everyone's kind of declaiming this speech that doesn't really convey any meaning or emotion, and so I really did not enjoy those scenes. I agree. Not much to add on that. I don't hate the Klingons. I can see where he's coming from that, and I hate that you have to read it, especially with someone who has a child that's dyslexic. But, again, it's not my biggest thing. Anthony Ha and Starfleet. I think it's a balance that Star Trek has always had to strike of wanting to have somewhat idealized versions of these characters, but at the same time, not leeching all drama and believability from it. You're in the wrong genre, or not genre, you're in the wrong series if you think that it shouldn't be that. And obviously, the show veers more towards the kind of fallible human characters. I don't mind fallible human characters. If I think about a show like The Next Generation, the crew members of the Enterprise are all genuinely good people, but they're not necessarily a sense that all of Starfleet is this enlightened. They don't watch these shows! They don't watch, there's nothing, they don't watch it! Picard hated religion. Picard thought Data was a thing. He thought he was an item, an object that could be turned into a slave race. Enlightened? Enlightened.
All it takes is one bad day. That's how far the world is from where I am. Just one bad day.
Thanks, Fox Nixer. I really appreciate you guys supporting the channel. It's the only way we stay afloat. David Ketron, how do you feel about the nudity in the language in Discovery? I feel like they're just using it because they can. David Ketron, I would agree. I think the nudity went too far when you have 4 episodes that there's porn in it. It's porn. Or you have gore porn. It had like 5 episodes, one after the other, that was gore porn. And I'm not going to let my daughters watch it. Because I think they went too far with it. Not till my daughters are in their teens. And I don't think it's Trek. I mean, it's Trek. I just don't think it's nostalgic Trek. I don't think it's where they were going with Trek. Okay. Sarah Lynn... Who is Sarah Lynn Mechner? How the hell ever you say her last name? Guess I should know the person if she's going to be... Writer, maker, feminist, Spitfire, Ravenclaw, Trekkie, INFP. She likes cursing. She also apparently is at the Treason Summit. Me and her are going to be the best of friends. I can already tell that. All right. Sarah Lynn Mechner on Trek creator Gene Roddenberry's vision. It would bother me if Star Trek started to have the kinds of dramatic
All
tension.
it takes is one bad day. That's how far the world is from where I am. Just one bad day.
Atheron, I'd rather give you money each week than throw it at CBS to watch this pile of garbage. Nathan, you got to head out. Sorry, buddy. Thanks for coming. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. I hope season 2 gets better. I do. I hope season 2 makes season 1 make sense. I want it to. It's just people frustrate me. It would bother me if Star Trek started to have the kinds of dramatic tension that are known tropes in our universe. So, for instance, 2 women arguing about a man, that kind of thing. It would bother me if Star Trek started to have the kinds of dramatic tension that are known tropes in our universe. For instance, 2 women arguing about... Are you talking about the Bechdel test, which is one of the worst tests on the face of the planet? If that happened on Star Trek, I would just weep. I would be so sad. I think Roddenberry's vision was not necessarily saying that humanity had evolved to embrace these beliefs, but that humanity had embraced a different culture, that there was nothing biological about this change. To me, that's even scarier, because it means it can be revoked at any time. It means that it can be established more... This doesn't even make any sense. What the hell is she trying to say? This entire paragraph makes no sense. It would bother me if Star Trek started to have the kinds of dramatic tension that are known tropes in our universe today. For instance, 2 women arguing about a man. That's not really a big deal today. If that happened, if 2 women argued about a man on Star Trek, they did. 2 women have argued about a man on Star Trek.
What are you? A monk?
What is she even talking about? By the way, thank you so much, Resolute Germ. I sincerely appreciate it. Discovery, in my opinion, is worse. Hey, I need you to go back down for a few more minutes. I'm sorry. I'll tell you when you come back up. It won't be too much longer. Okay, we'll go down and play with Sissy, who should be taking her nap, but whatever. First off, I have no idea what she's talking about. But secondly, Star Trek Discovery has implied... Hold on. Has implied rape of a male in 4 or 5 different episodes and never addresses that. But she's worried about 2 women arguing over a man. Or, yeah. So you have implied rape of a male, a person who has post-traumatic stress syndrome from sexual assault, as far as he knows, and they're worried, she's worried about 2 women arguing over a man, which I think happens in Discovery. But anyway, one of the John Joseph Adams, again, one of the commenters brought up a good point, which I agree with, that although I don't love the show 100%, if you compare it to the first season of other Star Trek shows, then yeah, it's really, really good in comparison. Who are you? John Joseph Adams. John Jacob Jingleheimer Smits. This one is my name too. John Joseph Adams is an American science fiction and fantasy editor, critic, and publisher. Does he have anything to do? Oh, he's wrote a lot about Star Trek. Isn't that fantastic? Huh. I think you would have learned something. All right. No, it is not. It is not better than the others. It might be on par. Maybe we can talk on par. There are always a few episodes that are really great. I mean, the first episode of Deep Space Nine is phenomenal. I don't know that I'd say that. It's a 2-hour pilot, and it's one of the best examples of movie-length science fiction that I've ever seen. The 2-hour pilot of Deep Space Nine is a great thematic. Okay. So if you compare Discovery to any of those, it actually holds up really well. No. No, it does not, good friend. Good buddy. Good pal. It does not. It does not in the slightest. And that was that article. I want to see Kirk walk into a bar and get kicked in the nuts for buying the wrong woman a drink. I think that would be interesting to see. Well, yeah, you're gonna. Kirk was actually a pretty. He was a creeper. They're talking about. How that's not in Star Trek. He was, especially that mirror universe stuff. All right. So yeah, I talked about politics far more than I ever wanted to on this channel. The best thing about the pilot of Deep Space Nine was the face-off between Sisko and Picard, and I think both of those actors did dramatically well. I really enjoyed that. I think that was one of the best Trek scenes that I've ever seen. But to say the first episode was thematic, or how you could do science like Trek on the big screen but not be on the big screen, I think is ridiculous. I think you could say that about some episodes of The Expanse, but definitively not the first episode. Thoughts on the Discovery Enterprise? I don't like it because it's not the actual Enterprise. It's just frustrating. By the way, your last shouting fit woke my dog. Her expression was adorable. Yeah. All right, guys. We'll be having a video coming out talking about Star Trek atheism in about 30 minutes to an hour and a half. But I think that's where we're going to be ending here. Everything I've done to say this. I want Discovery to do well. I want Discovery to proliferate. I don't care what their agenda is. I just wish they would do it. I wish they'd write better. I wish they would do the writing in a way that challenged my beliefs, or at least showed the challenging of the beliefs that I believe in. I like the idea of the Federation or Starfleet falling into a Dark Ages, and just maybe even exploring that in Season 2 and Season 3 of Discovery, which explains everything that happened in the original series. I like that idea. Common Sense America, thanks for stopping by, brother. But here's to hoping that it goes well. All of that to say this. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you rate, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded. And not stopping yet. Hold on. Not stopping yet. So don't leave. At everyone. Robert Fass.
What is on your face? Is that a disguise?
Excuse me.
Do you worry that the Orville might wander into the same political territory given Seth MacFarlane's fairly liberal views, or do you trust him to make more nuance when dealing with these issues? He has made more nuance. That's my point. So I'm sorry, someone did thing. So he the super chat is why I stopped. He has done more nuance. Orville is classic TNG. Honestly, when you look at the episodes of Orville, it's really, they're just recycling the Next Generation episodes, a lot of them. He has done very liberal views on those, and I think it's done very well. It's done in a comedy. It's generally not... Some of the stuff I disagree with, but generally he's not preaching. Now, I think he got a little preachy when he was talking about caged animals and stuff like that, but for the most part, not. So do I think that if he continues the way he is, there are some missteps, but overall, I think he did fairly well. My Twitch stream times are generally at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. That is, unless I have a beautiful distraction that is going to be on my way. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I think he's doing well. If he continues doing it the way he is, I enjoy Orville. So, all right, so let's get back to it. Ready? More dancing.